Before we dive deep, if you're serious about history and survival, hit that subscribe button and stay connected. This channel is built for people who don't just watch history but want to live it through understanding. Today, we're tackling a topic that often slips under the radar: how infrastructure recovery, the rebuilding after disasters or collapses, has often erased the very lessons that could have saved societies in the first place. Stick with me, because this isn't just theory. It's about patterns we can recognize, learn from, and even apply in modern survival or historical reconstruction exercises. Societies rebuilt too quickly without understanding past failures. History repeatedly shows that when communities rebound from catastrophe, there's a temptation to restore what was lost as quickly as possible. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, cities like Rome and Milan were rebuilt in name, but much of the knowledge about urban sanitation, aqueduct maintenance, and efficient road networks vanished. People focused on restoring functionality, not resilience. This is crucial because it teaches modern historians and survivalists alike that speed often trumps wisdom. If you're trying to reconstruct historical survival methods, don't just look at the end structures, study the process and identify what was neglected. In practical terms, when rebuilding a modern homestead or survival shelter, take time to analyze why older designs failed instead of blindly copying them. Infrastructure can mask underlying vulnerabilities. A perfectly rebuilt bridge, road, or granary can give a false sense of security. In medieval Europe, towns destroyed by Viking raids were often rebuilt with stone walls and fortified gates. Yet the very act of rebuilding often ignored lessons about supply chain vulnerabilities, water access, or community cohesion. The physical structures went up, but the social and logistical systems remained weak. For a survivalist, this is a critical takeaway. When you create a base or prepare for long-term sustainability, never assume that robust-looking infrastructure equals resilience. For instance, a fortified garden or water storage system may look impressive, but if you don't rotate crops, manage soil health, or maintain water filtration, you're repeating the same historical mistakes. Reconstruction often erases the cultural memory of hardship. One of the most overlooked aspects is how rebuilding can wipe out collective memory. After major plagues or famines, communities often rebuilt their homes and marketplaces without documenting why the collapse happened in the first place. Records, oral histories, and practical lessons were lost, leaving future generations unprepared. Take the Irish potato famine. Some of the towns and farming communities rebuilt without addressing the monoculture that caused the devastation. For anyone studying historical survival, this is a lesson in documentation. Keep detailed records of failures and successes in your experiments, projects, or reenactments. Step 1. Write down exactly what went wrong during a collapse simulation. Step 2. Outline what infrastructure changes were made. Step 3. Critically assess if those changes would actually prevent recurrence. Technology recovery doesn't always equal knowledge recovery. When iron smelting, masonry, or irrigation systems were rebuilt, the methods often changed. During the early medieval period, European blacksmiths and engineers reconstructed Roman tools, but the precision and techniques were simplified or lost. That meant that even though society had access to similar infrastructure, the knowledge embedded in those systems, the why and how behind them, was missing. For history buffs, this is where hands-on experimentation really matters. If you're recreating Iron Age tools or shelters, don't just replicate what you see. Dig into the materials, processes, and reasoning behind them. You might, discover efficiency losses or hidden risks that historical communities faced. Practical ways to apply lessons from lost knowledge. Start small. If you're interested in historical infrastructure recovery, try rebuilding a small-scale system like a water collection or storage setup, but pause at each step and ask why it's done this way. Compare it with historical records or archaeological evidence. Notice where modern shortcuts diverge from ancient methods and consider the consequences. Another approach is to test redundancy. If a medieval grain storage system failed, how could you improve it today without repeating the same mistake? This kind of applied study doesn't just give historical insight, it trains you to think like a survivalist who anticipates failure before it happens. Understanding recovery patterns changes how we interpret history. When you study collapsed civilizations, notice the patterns in how they rebuilt. Did they prioritize aesthetics over function? Did they ignore past failures for political reasons or sheer necessity? By tracking these choices, you gain a deeper understanding of why civilizations failed repeatedly despite access to advanced infrastructure. For the practical historian or survival enthusiast, this is, invaluable. It teaches you to question what you see, to probe beneath the surface, and to replicate systems in a way that accounts for both resilience and adaptability. Conclusion: don't just observe history, internalize it. Infrastructure recovery has often erased the very lessons that history tried to teach us. For the Iron Age enthusiast, this means paying attention not only to ruins or rebuilt cities, but to what those reconstructions tell us about human priorities, mistakes and blind spots. Study them, recreate them, and most importantly, learn from them in a practical, hands-on way. Take notes, experiment with small-scale projects, and keep asking why, not just how. If you found this guide valuable, make sure you subscribe and share it with fellow history buffs. Let's build a community that doesn't just admire the past, but learns from it, so the lessons lost through infrastructure recovery aren't lost on us.